Hi and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave and this is episode 1697B and today's date is October 23rd, 2018 and the title of the episode is Moves and Countermoves, Truth Not Revealed, Breaking Down the Strategy. Now, before I get started, I wanted to talk about privacy and how the NSA, CIA, social media corporations are tracking and spying on us 24/7. First, let's take a look at what happened in the last couple of weeks. First, hackers stole 50 million Facebook user access tokens. Now, according to Facebook, hackers were able to access users' private information without requiring their original account password or validating two-factor authentication code. If we look at Google Plus is shutting down after a vulnerability exposed 500,000 users' data. Hackers had the ability to access data from more than 500,000 users, including their username, email addresses, occupation, date of birth, profile photos, and gender-related information. Social media, corporations, government, they are tracking us. They're tracking our behavior, building profiles. The information includes location, purchases, banking, and much more. So what does this mean? It means they are watching us, listening and tracking us, connecting to our microphone and camera. It is up to each and every one of us to protect ourselves. How do we do this? You use a virtual private network. I use Virtual Shield. It allows you to transport yourself somewhere else in the world and the trackers will not know your true location. Virtual Shield VPN is one of the easiest VPNs to use in the world, one of the fastest VPNs in the world. Their no-log policy protects its users from any data breaches. That means they don't keep any logs. This month, Virtual Shield is offering 25% off VPN plans and all premium add-ons including Protection Plus, residential access, monthly maintenance, phone support, VIP performance plans for as low as $3 per month. And don't forget about IdentiSafe, which allows the customer the ability to block off computer microphone and camera access from any unwanted spies and hackers. For anyone that is paranoid about the big tech companies, government, the deep state watching and listening to every move we make and accessing our computers, well then IdentiSafe is for you. So check out the link below and start protecting you and your family because we all have the right to remain private. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, they are completely going for it. And we can see with this caravan that is heading towards the southern border of the United States, they want this caravan to grow to thousands upon thousands of people. Mike Pompeo was out there and he was saying, listen, you will not cross into the United States illegally. If you like to come into the United States, go through the proper channels. But remember, the deep state, they don't want it this way. They want it to be a complete and utter disaster on the borders. That's actually what they're planning for. And this is why they've been paying these people. This is why they're making a really big deal. And we see at this point, the caravan has grown to about 14,000 people. And they want an altercation on the border. This has been their plan from the very beginning. And we could see that at that time, that's when they'll bring the camera crews down there. They'll never report on who's in the caravan because, as we know, there's Syrians, there's other people from other countries, there's MS-13 gangs, there's many people that really are just drug dealers, criminals, and others. And yes, maybe in the mix there are others. But if you truly want to enter this country legally, you go through the proper channels. If this is part of an agenda by the deep state, you create a mass like you're seeing. You pay people to do this, and you storm the border. That's what you do. Now, Trump has also come out and he pledged that this caravan will not be given the opportunity to enter the United States. And one of his primary concerns is that there could be gang members and Middle Eastern terrorists embedded among the migrants. And his concerns are correct. And this is why you have to go through a vetting process. But again, the deep state, they don't want this. They don't want people to find out who these people really are. And these freedom-seeking migrants don't seem too excited about the American dream. I mean, there were 2 people burning a U.S. flag. So you're marching up to the United States where you want freedom, you want the dream, but you're burning the American flag? That doesn't make sense. No, that shows you that these are paid individuals and most of them are criminals, drug individuals, maybe part of gangs, maybe not even part of El Salvador, Guatemala, or any of the other countries in this area. So Trump is challenging the media to bring their cameras to the caravan, and they want the press, he wants the press to talk to the people in the caravan. And he claimed that they will find that there are MS-13 gang members, as well as Middle Eastern citizens trying to enter the United States. And we know that we've seen this before. We know that the deep state doesn't want these individuals vetted. This is not about freedom, democracy. This is about an agenda to push their whole thing of trying to get rid of Trump, to make him suffer because he won the elections. That's what this is really about. And we know in the past that the illegals that were coming into this country, they just jumped the border, and because of Obama, they were put on buses. They were brought to sanctuary cities. The sanctuary cities received millions and millions of dollars. They got working papers. They were preparing to put them on Obamacare. And the whole agenda for this was to allow them to take low-paying jobs and eventually blend this country in, just like they were blending Europe, with all the illegals, all the refugees. Because their ultimate plan was to have the world completely the same. Why? For their one world government. And you needed to bring the countries down to the same level. Those countries that are up, had to bring them down. Those countries that are already down, it didn't really matter. And we know that this is being pushed by Soros and many others. Now, what's very interesting is that George Soros, it wasn't him personally, it was one of his security team, discovered a bomb placed in a mailbox in his Westchester County home. The explosive device was later protectively detonated by the FBI bomb squad. Now, what's really interesting is that an employee went to the mailbox, saw the bomb, and this person decided to move it to the wooded area. How did this person know it wasn't going to go off? They were a bomb expert? Or did they plant it themselves and they knew exactly what it was? And they were calling attention to, oh, look, someone's trying to, hurt me or kill me. I mean, this might have been a false flag. And Soros and many others have done this before. And we've seen this done before. And we know that Soros pushes these types of false flags. But what's very interesting is Hungary. They passed the Stop Soros laws, bans aid to undocumented immigrants. So the parliament passed a series of laws criminalizing the act of aiding undocumented immigrants seeking asylum in the country. And the bill is called Stop Soros. So they know he's behind this. The world knows he's behind this. He spends a lot of money to push his agendas. And countries are starting to wake up to this. Let's move on to what's happening with Khashoggi. Now, today is Tuesday, and we were expecting Erdogan to come out with this information, with all the evidence, that it was Saudi Arabia that ordered the hit. And like Erdogan has always done in the past, he produced absolutely nothing. I mean, what is happening, though, is Saudi Arabia's King Salman is meeting with family members of journalist Jamal Khashoggi in Saudi Arabia. Also, Steve Mnuchin, who tweeted out that he wasn't going to the investment meeting with Saudi Arabia, attended the meeting. So he lied about this. And again, I always thought Mnuchin, and I still do, I don't think he's working for the White House. I think he's still a black hat inside running the central bank system. He's a Goldman boy. So Erdogan didn't deliver on his promise to reveal the naked truth in the killing of Khashoggi. So what did Erdogan say? Well, first of all, he did not mention Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman by name, but said he was confident of the full cooperation of his father, Saudi King Salman, in the probe. He also called for a trial in Turkey of the Saudi suspects in the murder of Khashoggi. he said the crime was planned days in advance. Yeah, we know this. He says, my demand is that 18 people be tried in Istanbul. And he said this while he was giving a speech to the ruling party lawmakers in Ankara. And he's saying that these 18 people included security officials who have already been detained by Saudi Arabia. He added that all those who played a role in the murder had to face punishment. Erdogan said that the murder was planned days in advance according to a roadmap set up by the Saudi team. Now, it was this team of 18 people who were sent to Istanbul for the purpose of killing Khashoggi. But he still didn't give any proof. Where are the recordings? Where's the transcript? Where's the verification? We don't have that. What do we have? We have the mainstream media telling us the story. We have the mainstream media telling us what happened. We don't have Erdogan. We don't have Trump telling us what happened. He doesn't have any of the evidence yet. They haven't given him the recordings. Actually, Turkey said they're not going to hand over the recordings. This is very interesting. But there are still a lot of questions. Who gave the orders? Who was this team really? And who led them? Was it really the prince, or was it somebody else? So Erdogan said, why did these 15 people, all with links to the event, gather in Istanbul on the day of the murder? We are seeking answers. Who did these people get their orders from to go there? We are seeking answers. Now, this is very interesting. He's looking for those answers. So he's not pointing the finger at Saudi Arabia. He wants to know who gave the orders for this team to go down there. So a team of Saudi agents began arriving in Turkey the day before Khashoggi was killed, and they disconnected the cameras in the consulate. This is what Erdogan is saying. But they didn't remove the camera outside. That's kind of odd. But they removed all the cameras inside. So how did Erdogan know about what was going on? The Apple Watch thing is debunked. Did he have cameras in there? He says he has recordings. Where are they? But they didn't remove the one outside. Okay, let's go on here. Now, according to the mainstream media, they found a car that was abandoned. It was a Mercedes, full of clothes believed to belong to the journalist, Khashoggi. They found it in the trunk of the car. They also found were computer and documents were said to be, which also belonged to Khashoggi. So the Saudi team of 15 came down or flew into Turkey in a plane that was photographed, came early, removed all the cameras except for the one outside. There was a recording made of all of this, and after the killing, they decided to dress someone up and parade him around to look like Khashoggi, which it kind of looked like him, but not really. They had a doctor there to do what we don't know, to dismember him. Maybe, who knows why they're saying the doctor's there. And they abandoned the car with all the stuff in there. And it looks like they did this in a parking garage. And most of the time, these garages have cameras, and these individuals were caught on film. Very interesting. So why would they do this? And now in the trunk, there was also gas masks or chemical masks and things like that. Now, this is very, very odd that this intelligence team is being recorded, filmed everywhere. I mean, does that make sense? And now, the biggest bombshell ever. They found the whereabouts of Khashoggi's remains. The body parts belonging to Khashoggi have been found. Where were they? Well, according to the mainstream media, they were cut up and his face was disfigured, but they found this in the garden of the Saudi Consul General's home, because that's exactly where you would plant this. I mean, does this all make sense? I mean, do they really want us to believe this? And remember, all of this is coming from the mainstream media. We've had no investigation of what has really been happening with documented proof and facts. They've been showing us the entire show, a piece at a time, and they want us to believe it. And now we have senators, Senator Richard Blumenthal, who was in the Kavanaugh hearing. We have Adam Schiff, who is out there. And they are saying that Trump is responsible for all of this. Actually, Schiff is calling for a probe into Trump's ties with Saudi Arabia. So I guess the Russian collusion thing's over. Now he's colluding with Saudi Arabia, and they need to see, what he's been doing in Saudi Arabia. I mean, they're just making all of this stuff up as we go along. Now, Trump says he's unsatisfied with the Saudi account on the killed journalist. And he's saying that we need more information. We need facts. So CIA Director Gina Haspel is traveling to Turkey today to participate in the investigation into the death of Khashoggi. Now, this is very interesting because Trump said the following. He said he has top intelligence people in Turkey, but he didn't elaborate on what that meant. What I'm thinking is they already had military intelligence on the ground while this was going on to catch those individuals who are really responsible, gathering the information and facts of what was going on. Now, I believe in the beginning they heard chatter. They knew something was going to go down. They didn't know exactly what, and they knew that something was going to happen. And I think they set up the intelligence to prepare for what is going on. And they had individuals on the ground recording what they were doing while they were creating the show. Now, Vice President Mike Pence reiterated comments he made last week, vowing that the United States would follow the facts and demand that those responsible are held accountable, calling it an assault on free and independent press. So he's saying for those who are responsible, they're sending a CIA director to get the facts of what really happened. Erdogan never gave us the truth about what happened, actually never mentioned the prince's name. And we can see that something else is going on here because the mainstream media has been giving us this show, and they know all the information. They know everything about it. Just like 9/11 and all the other shootings and all the other false flags, they always knew every piece of what was going on. That is amazing. Because when they know everything, you know it is completely fake, phony, and false. It was all fed to them to drip feed it to the public to make them believe. And all the mainstream media outlets, they all report on the same exact thing. Now, Putin and Trump, they are going to be meeting in Paris. We have Bolton working with Putin right now, talking about the nuclear deal. And I believe all this is being done to bring China and Iran and Russia into the mix of discussing the new nuclear deal. And when we really think about this, Putin and Trump, they are working together. Now, can they just come out and say, we're working together, everything's great? No, because there's a Mueller investigation going on here. They don't want to give the press and everything else ammunition. So they've been keeping everything on the down low. Putin understands what Trump is going up against. He gets it. This whole deal with the nuclear treaty and all this stuff has already been pre-planned with Russia. They know they have to rework the deal. This is not a new arms race. We're not going to war with Russia. This is to bring other countries into the fold. Think about it. China has been purchasing secrets from the United States. There were certain individuals that committed treason, and they were selling military secrets and many other secrets to the Chinese to bring them up to speed and get their military up to speed, because eventually what they wanted to happen is they wanted a war. This is why they were trying to destroy the military and everything that you saw here in the United States, and giving the secrets away to China and the others, that the deep state players in the other countries, they would have the ability to bring down planes and things like that. They wanted the United States to lose the war. And the United States had to lose the war to switch the system to someplace else and to bring this country down to the level they wanted it down to. But that has all come to an end. And now what we're seeing is those old deals with the old countries and the new superpowers that have come into power because of the secrets that they've stolen or purchased. Well, they're at a level where they need to be brought into the mix right now. They need to be agreeing to these new treaties. And I think this is what is happening right now with Russia, China, and even Iran. So we see a lot of things happening right now. We see a lot going on. And the deep state is pushing their agenda really, really hard. But the strategy here is to counter what they're doing. And the military intelligence with Khashoggi, I believe we're going to see everything start to turn around on that story. And I think the mainstream media is going to have a tough time trying to explain away, or they'll just not even explain it. They'll just forget about it, of what is really going on. Almost like the Russian collusion. They came out really strong with that. They had all the evidence. They had the Steele dossier. They had all the connections of how this was done. They had the meeting with Trump Jr. and they were building and building and building, and then it just fizzled because it wasn't real. And then facts started to come out, and we started to realize what was really going on here. And that whole story started to fall apart. I believe the same thing is going to happen with the Khashoggi story. That once the facts start to roll in and Trump starts to mention certain things, everything's going to start to fall apart. And it's going to be very difficult for the mainstream media to explain this away. But we'll see what happens. Because already with Erdogan, we didn't get any truth whatsoever. And with the caravan, they're going to try to push that agenda as hard as they possibly can at the borders. They want everything focused on the borders. And of course, the mainstream media, they're going to try to use this to say that Trump is stopping dreamers. Look what he's doing. And they want conflict. They want to show people getting hurt. But I don't think Trump is going to be doing this. I think he has something else planned on the border, and we'll have to wait to see how this all plays out. But I believe we're seeing moves and counter moves right now, and there's a definite strategy behind all of this, and we're going to see something really, really fantastic happen down at the border and with Khashoggi. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.